All right, we are live. Chad Brendel, Dave Simone. Give me just a few seconds here to get everything set up. Hi, Dave.
Hi, how are you?
If I was any better, I'd be twins.
That'd be something. Yeah, we've got a lot going on, and I get a sense we're gonna have a lot more going on over the next, I don't know, 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on. That's for sure. That is for sure. Um, do you want to talk about all the other stuff and then get to signing day, or you want to just get to signing day and then
What is the other
well,
stuff?
just like the stuff that you're just mentioning now, that there's going to be stuff going on.
Oh no, I mean, like I think it all goes hand in hand. I mean, I think that the biggest thing I took away from Coach Satterfield's comments was that they're not close to being done in the portal.
No.
So what we obviously we know some things, can't really get into them too much, but I mean he came out and talked about having his coaching staff pretty much locked in by January 3rd because they're going to have people visiting January 4th.
Yeah, well, that's so things are in a dead period right now. How is my signal? Am I all right here?
Seems fine to me.
Okay, I'm getting a warning that my signal is low. Somebody said they like the new setup. The new background is the Mercedes Benz room at Fifth
I
Third
think they
Arena.
mean like the border, the
Oh,
red and black
that's
stuff.
on my laptop. I have no idea how that got there. Like, I actually need to see if that's something I like can control. It's in here. Bearcat's background. There you go. I didn't know that was in there. Might be an Ed thing. Ed might have put that in there for us
Yes,
without my
Aaron says it's
knowledge.
the PTP background.
Oh, okay. Well, it's on my
And
laptop and
now,
I'm
now
leaving it
it's
up.
our background when we don't have a specific show going on.
Yeah. Let's get into the class.
Yeah,
I guess we'll start with Emory Jones.
yeah. Why not?
So I know a lot of people, because he's played a lot of football, a
He
lot of
has played a
opinions
lot
on
of
Emory
football over
Jones.
over 5 years. He has gotten into a lot of football games. Um,
Um, I think the two guys that were really focused on in the portal at quarterback, one of them was Jeff Sims. Jeff uh, ended up, that's his name, right? Jeff?
Jeff Sims, yep,
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Went to Nebraska. That put the focus on Emory Jones. Emory Jones was here on an official visit over the weekend. And um, looks like they got the job done. I know there was some concern about whether or not he would decide to take some more visits and drag this out a little bit longer. And I guess it became clear today that he had made a decision. And first things first, Dave, if you're looking to run power spread or whatever version of the spread offense that Coach Satterfield runs, however you want to label it, and he seems to fit really well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, there's a lot of tape on him. Some good tape, some bad tape. Obviously, if you're transferring multiple times, it's usually for a reason, and be that as it may. But yes, if you just look physically and his abilities, six two, 6'3", well, 215, 220. I just look at it as like he is a quarterback who can run and not an athlete who is playing quarterback.
Yes.
2021 season, 65% passer at Florida, almost 800 yards rushing. And that is what I envision him being used at, is a guy that can throw. He's got a big arm, so he can. I mean, a guy that can push the ball down the field, but a guy that you can design things for in the run game, and a guy that can help himself out in the pass game with mobility and then extending plays and turning broken plays into runs, which I think you just need more of now. And that's today's college football. Today's college football is not the, you're going to have your couple guys, your elite, purebred pocket passers, Mannings, things of that nature. But like, you need guys that can create on their own, but they are passing quarterbacks, and I think that's what he is. I admittedly did not see much of him at Arizona State this year. All I know is that whole situation was a mess on and off the field. I mean,
they
you
tried
can't
to make him a pocket passer.
Yeah, they tried to make him a pocket passer behind an offensive line that was terrible. I mean, he was sacked 21 times in the limited starts that he got there. Again, I'm not absolving him of any fault. Like, you got to play better regardless of your surroundings sometimes too. But that whole thing, from the coaching staff to everything that was going on during COVID and the illegal visits, and then the sanctions that were coming, and then the coaches leaving. I mean, it was just a mess. So you look more towards 2021 at Florida, and it's a mixed bag. But if we're looking at what a Scott Satterfield offense is, he is the type of quarterback that you can project into this offense, and then it's just on him and the coaches and the guys around him to play well. And if he can be a 65% passer to 70% passer and cut down on his interceptions, they were a little high in 21. But if he can do like a Malik Cunningham and rush for 700, 800 yards, throw for 2,300, 2,700, somewhere in that range, and cut down on your interceptions, I think you're going to be pretty happy with the quarterback play if he's the guy moving forward, and I would imagine that he will be. You're not bringing in a sixth year guy on his third transfer spot. At least I don't think, to necessarily have some totally undecided QB battle in the offseason.
There's an interesting thought, Dave. Has a turnaround like Hendon Hooker did at Tennessee.
I mean, it is somewhat similar.
Hendon Hooker in him?
Hendon Hooker was not good at Virginia Tech and left to go to Tennessee. And I shouldn't say he was not good. He wasn't anywhere near what he was this year. That's for darn sure. I think just situations matter. Development matters. Guys, the transfer portal and the multiple transfer portal thing is going to just be more prevalent. And to me, it's not necessarily a knock. Like, these guys should get to play as long as they want to play. And I'm fine with that. And if it doesn't work at one place for whatever reason, doesn't mean it can't work somewhere else. So,
Michael Penix was terrible.
Yeah,
for a stretch at Indiana, and
now
I think he's good
in their. He was really good in their COVID year.
Yeah,
really bad the year after, and then really good again this year at Washington. And there's a lot that goes into it, especially at quarterback. But I mean, giving a snap judgment an hour or two, whatever, after this happened, I'm totally cool with it. Now it's on everybody else that gets paid dollars to make it work. But if you're asking me the handful of quarterbacks that I think were truly available in the portal that fit what they're trying to do offensively, he would have been in that group.
The thing that jumps out at me, there's always, and you don't know, and this is not saying Emory Jones is going to be this, but there are always 3 or 4 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys that didn't get a ton of like, they weren't the Spencer Rattlers or the JT Daniels, like the guys that got all the talk at the top of the transfer portal. And then there's 3 or 4 or 5, like a Hendon Hooker that kind of, wait, that guy was at Virginia Tech. And then all of a sudden, like now he's blowing up at Tennessee. Those guys are there every year. And it's on the coaching staff to do the right evaluation, to make the right finds to get that, to get it worked out, to find the right guy to fit their system.
That's why I said, everybody looks at the portal as like open to everybody, but I don't look at it that way because it is kind of like free agency. And you don't just look at NFL free agency, for example, and go, well, we need an offensive lineman. Let's just get this. Like, it has to be what you're trying to do. So there might be 30 quarterbacks right now in the portal that are all good quarterbacks, but 5 of them might make sense for UC.
Now it's your job to go figure out which one of the 5 is the best fit.
Makes the most sense, or you feel the most comfortable with, or has the same interest in you as you have in them. So, he's someone that I figured they would have some sort of contact with, and it comes to fruition. So, and now, he throws a really nice ball. I saw someone say, can he make basic passes? Yes. He can make basic passes. He can make not basic passes. He's got a big arm. He's got a good delivery. He's got good mechanics. He's mobile. He, can absolutely run. Isn't designed to necessarily do that a ton. I think he wants to be a thrower, but and then Josh Gregory's letter has just now come in. Perfect. So he is official.
Some UC fans were total asses to him, by the way, and he saw it. There's a handful of UC fans on Twitter that should be fired into the sun.
That's everywhere, though.
Yeah, I know, but I don't deal with everywhere. I deal with.
No, I know, but I know, and he knows that, he's been to Florida and like he's an older guy, like he understands that stuff.
Yeah. His wide receiver at transfer portal focus. Yes.
Times like 5.
If it's not a focus, me and Dave might be in that wide receiver room by the time.
Well, if it's not a focus, that just means all these running backs we got are going to get a lot of carries.
Any prospects? Yes, but none that I can tell you about yet. Triple option season.
I'm down with that. Everybody listens to me enough knows that I'm here for the triple.
You got anything else on Emory Jones?
No, I'll be excited to see him in spring.
For sure.
Like that's the thing is like, yes, my biggest pet peeve with the portal, and I'm going to try not to be hypocritical. My biggest pet peeve with the portal is when a guy transfers and the media, whatever, whether it's that team's media, whether it's 24/7, whether it's On 3, whether it's ESPN, I don't care who, says X team gets
great get
massive transfer player, and you look and the guy was in the 2019 class and has barely stepped on the field.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, is he a massive get? Like he hasn't been good enough to play. At least I know that Emory Jones has taken a lot of meaningful snaps in 2 power conferences and has had whatever percentage you want to put on it of productive football. That's what I want out of the portal more than anything. Is I want a baseline understanding of like what can this guy do, and then it's up to coaches, him, players to elevate that to a more than the baseline level. And he was a top. I don't know how this shit works anymore with transfers, but like He's now the highest rated recruit to ever come to UC. He was 85th in the 2018 class.
What was Gunner?
Like 90. Well, he might have been higher, but I mean, Gunner might have been higher. But he'd be second then. He was like a 95, 96 ranking. So there's talent there. It's just a matter of pulling it all together. And I'll be interested and excited to watch him when I can in the spring with whoever he's throwing the ball to.
Gunner was a 26 number one pro and a 98.78 or 98.78 ranking. So yeah, Gunner just always stands out because he was at a time I think he was like top 5 in the class. What does this do for Evan Prater? Is he ready to fight Emory Jones, battle Emory Jones for the job? Right? Like, that's what you're going to have to do. This guy's clearly being brought in to compete for QB1. If you want to compete for QB1, you stick around. If you want to go find somewhere that's got an easier path to being QB1, then you enter the portal. Evan at wide receiver. We have no evidence that Evan Prater can play wide receiver.
Or wants to.
Or quarterback. We do have some of that evidence.
We have some evidence of that.
I know that's the easy thing to throw out there. Maybe he could be great at it. I don't know, but he would have to want to do it, and I don't think he does. Yeah, I mean, hopefully having a guy like Emory can show Prater the way, since it would be similar styles should he decide to stay. After 3 years, some guys are done learning. You know what I mean?
No. I do. I don't think you're talking to me, though.
No. You obviously weren't done learning after 3 years because you were in college for 6. So
very smart because of it.
5.5, my bad. And you learned a lot.
Well, no, I was in college for 7. It was just 2 different colleges.
Yeah. We won't mention the second one.
I have multiple pieces of framed paper.
We won't mention the second one. All right, let's get on to the other transfers that have put pen to paper today. We'll start with
do they need to do that, or do they just do that for the pomp?
I think they just do it for pomp and circumstance.
Like you just show up and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to school here now."
Yeah, well, here's the thing,
because the high school kids don't even necessarily have to do it. They just have
nobody
to sign.
Has to sign. I would never.
They just have to sign the aid paperwork.
Yeah,
and they can just show up for class.
Yes. You don't have to do it. No, I think this is just
all of this is just a show. I mean, all of it's just a show.
If you're the new staff, if you announce as many transfers as you can with your high school kids, it just looks like.
Well, I just mean in general, like the kids don't. None of these kids have to do this stuff.
No, nobody has to sign a letter of intent ever.
No,
I would never do it.
And yet they still always do.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing it does.
It means less now because of the portal, but
yeah, the one thing it does is it secures your spot, solidifies your spot. So sure. I get that. Michael, I'd love some popcorn. I'm in the Mercedes-Benz room. They don't have any popcorn in here yet, or else I would get me a little bit. Dorian Jones. He was Satterfield's first high school commitment at Louisville. He now joins him at Cincinnati. He has, I believe, 2 years remaining.
He was a 19 kid, so that would probably.
I think he has 2, yeah. Linebacker, physical, plays downhill. I think you've already got a pretty good linebacker room, but I think having somebody that is that familiar with Satterfield, with his staff, with the linebacker coach, I think it's a good thing to kind of work into that room. A guy that kind of knows what the defensive coordinator wants, what the system's going to look like. I think it's just an all-around plus. And from all accounts, a really good kid that's coming up from the Louisville program.
Yeah, I mean, he was in line to be a starter next year. Again, played in, I think, almost every game. 34 tackles, 3 sacks, forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. So like a very
Sounds like he was a 1B.
yeah. I mean, he's a main contributor for them.
Yeah.
So he's going to understand the defense. He's going to come in, big kid, physical kid. He's going to be fine moving up. To the Big 12 from a UC standpoint because I mean he did it in the ACC. A lot of similarities. But yes, I mean you're going to have a guy that can come in and probably he's going to be a starter right away. I mean, we say all of this not knowing who's going to transfer, who's going to use another year. Like,
well, I mean, if you have and they run 4 line, but they run a 3-4, right? Or they did down there.
They run like a 3. They run a 3-3-5 basically. 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like hypothetically, if you have Deshaun, Ivan, and Jaheim,
hypothetically.
I mean, I don't think it's totally out of the equation, but we shall see.
I guess what Ty could come back.
Yeah, I've heard he doesn't plan to, but maybe that changes with the coaching change. I don't know. But yeah, you get a guy that brings some depth, some experience, and some familiarity. Always a good thing. And then something that you are very excited about, Dave. 2 offensive linemen with a lot of playing time, a lot of dirt on their uniform, if you will. Luke Kandra and Trevor Radosevic.
Yes. And I don't think they're done there. I mean, Scott specifically mentioned offensive tackle still in the portal, but that it wouldn't surprise me if there's even more than just that. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, especially offensive line, like you have to have dudes that have played. It's imperative that if you're going to bring in offensive line transfers, to me at least, they are guys that have significant starts under their belt. Like my comment earlier about the whole like great pick, like I'm not really interested in some kid from the SEC who was a high 4-star in 2020 that hasn't played. Like that doesn't really help us next year. Like we don't have any clue if he's good or not.
Yeah.
So whether they're from Penn or Louisville or Alabama, I just want to see dudes that have on the offensive line that have played a lot of football. And Radosevic more so even than Kandra. He's a 2-year starter at several positions, first team all Ivy League. So, I would guess he's going to slot it at center.
Yeah, but, I mean, the only other option is going to be a guy we'll talk about in a little bit in Tingastal and Gavin. But I would guess Gavin would like to get back to guard.
I mean, I would think you could have a pretty good interior if you had Radosevic, Gavin, and Kandra as your guards and center.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure, and then you have Joe Huber, hopefully. And so then you're kind of looking for like a left tackle maybe. And that's maybe your starting group, and you're trying to fill in some depth and stuff of that nature. But I mean, that's kind of how in my mind it's working out. Obviously I could be totally wrong, and we'll get a little bit clearer picture in a couple months. But if we're just putting names on paper, that's kind of how I see them trying to work it.
I think that would make the most sense as well. And then you still have, you have guys like Cam Jones and John Williams as a new offensive line coach, kind of bring something out of them that we haven't seen yet. You have Ethan Green that'll be going into his redshirt freshman year.
I think Ethan Green probably fits real well in the wide zone scheme.
Yeah.
I think he's a pretty athletic guy for how big he is. I'm not sure how Cam fits into that. Um, John and Ethan probably fit into that pretty well. So we'll see what kind of adjustments they're able to make if that benefits them. But Ethan's a pretty good mover for a dude his size.
Yeah. Let's get to Brady Drogosh. Big win for Satterfield to keep this kid in the fold when he easily, especially with all the flipping we've seen from quarterbacks around the country over the past 2 weeks, Dave, he could have been one of the hottest commodities on the market.
The odd thing to me was, I mean, maybe he just kept it all quiet or just told teams like, no, I'm not interested.
I think he shut it down. I think he legitimately.
I didn't see like anybody being like, we're going to go after this guy.
Yeah, and generally the only way that happens is if they just aren't taking calls, right?
I mean, he definitely took a measured approach of like, I'm going to wait and at least see what is next.
Yeah.
Which whether it's a UC thing or not, I think that's a mature thing to do. Like, you're a 4-star Elite 11 kid. Like, you're not going to not have options.
Right.
So if you really
fast rising 4-star kid,
if you really like UC, wait and see what comes of it. And I think this offense fits him actually a lot better than the previous offense. So
one thing I would say, I think people are getting a little putting the cart in front of the horse a little on like
him
he's
playing
going to
next
be ready
year.
Yeah,
no chance.
Let's. I know everybody's excited because he's really talented, and I think after a redshirt year, Emory Jones is a 1-year guy. I think he could be in line to compete for the starting job as a redshirt freshman. I don't think that's crazy and out of the realm of possibility because you're seeing it more and more that teams are just getting those redshirt freshman kids on the field because of the transfer portal. If you want to keep them around, you better get them on the field. But let's relax a little bit on this. Brady's going to start as a true freshman. But he's big. He can run. He's got a good arm. He seems to be steadily improving because when from what we had heard of him, he was really raw. And when you watched his film from his senior year of high school, I mean, he didn't look super polished, but he didn't look like a guy that's like, it's going to take 2 years, 3 years for this kid to figure it out.
Right.
He was throwing some really good balls. Now they're highlights, so you just get to see the good ones. You don't get to see the bad ones, but
yeah, I mean, he's playing on an elite team in Michigan. So they've got some of the best players that they're going to play against. And I think he's really good. But again, they have so much to learn to just be like, yeah, he's going to be playing in, opening day in September. Like, he's got to get in the weight room. He's got to get in the weight room. He's got to understand a college offense. He's got to make it past higher ground.
That's outstanding, Steven. Well done. At this point, I just want to see him stay on the team past Camp Higher Ground.
I'm surprised he hasn't. That person hasn't officially transferred to UAB yet.
That'll be real telling if Trent Dilfer's like, I'm good, bro.
Yeah. Well, this quarterback this year is going to Auburn.
I know. I saw that.
So it's got some dudes.
Somebody asked about Gino. Lambig asked about Gino. The expectation is that Gino will be the tight ends coach and the passing game coordinator at Wisconsin. That's what we know. Higher Ground is going to be interesting. It's always interesting that first year coaches at Higher Ground because I don't think they have really any clue what to expect.
No.
And then by the middle of the week, when they're week 1, they start to find the rhythm, and they're like, oh.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be a high level freshman quarterback. Like, it's just let him get his feel for everything, and if he's amazing and they play him great, but there should be no expectation that he's going to beat out a 23-year-old that has played games against Alabama and LSU and in the Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma
and USC.
Let's just slow down just a touch here, because that's not fair to the kid either. Like, if you do that to the kid and then he's like not awesome right away, and it's like, calm down.
It's a great point, Thrifty Walrus. Hardest part for a new coach about higher ground is getting used to the altitude.
I think it's getting used to the calorie intake. What if it was like at altitude? That would be hilarious.
Like we had to drive up a mountain to get there.
In the middle of Indiana.
The middle of nowhere, Indiana. We got to drive up a mountain to get there. Oh, boy. Let's see. Who else do we have that we want to get to? Let's get to Raekwon Atkins and Jaden Davis, the Louisville guys, both DBs. Both are gonna need some time in the weight room. What was Raekwon Atkins listed at 155?
Yeah, he's like a typical high school slot corner.
Yeah.
He gets his hands on the football, though. That's for damn sure. He had 9 interceptions as a junior.
Yeah.
And I think 1 this year. I don't know if he played I think he maybe missed some of their games this year. Just offered a 2024 Canadian tight end. Max LeBlanc. I wonder if he's related to Matt LeBlanc.
Probably not.
2024 6'5", 225 tight end.
Everybody likes those 6'4", 225 tight ends.
I don't mean to divert from the two DBs, but did you notice Centerfield talk about like using the tight end a lot? And I'm like, do you?
The tight end was their number 2 leading receiver.
Like by catches, but like he wasn't like. I know they use an H-back, which is interesting. We haven't seen one of those in a while. So I don't know if that means somebody on the roster, a linebacker or a short tight end, gets turned into an H-back or something. But yeah, so
they do. I mean, it was their second leading. I mean, they used him a lot, right?
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to like.
What's going on at wide receiver?
Nothing.
They're having a lot of meetings where it's Blue Smith talking to Chris Scott, and that's pretty much it.
And Drew Donnelly.
And then Quincy Burrows and Marcus Peterson.
Yeah. But yeah, Raekwon Atkins, prototypical slot. Scott did mention that he could be an outside guy too. I just think he's too small for that.
This is not the previous staff, though. Maybe Scott Satterfield doesn't mind.
I just mean like 5'10", 170 still, even if he packs on 15, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
It's still pretty small. But I've read that, he's gritty, like he's got that dog in him. But definitely, I mean, catching the ball is important. Like, that translates. You see these corners that come into college and
dog.
They've got all the attributes, but then you like watch their tape and I'm like, I don't ever see them intercepting the ball. Like, if I'm watching your highlight tape, it should be highlights of you getting interceptions.
Dog.
I don't know who that guy is, but he must know Raekwon Atkins.
Yeah. That's another Ed thing.
Jaden Davis, same thing. 2 interceptions in the Army All-American game. Bigger, 6'2". Obviously he'll hit the weight room like everybody else, but Played about half the year this year, I think, maybe less than that. Had a knee injury.
Had
But
2 interceptions in the Army All-American game.
yep,
So
just said that in case you weren't listening.
Dog.
Is he playing with the dog thing?
It's hard.
Insane.
It's hard.
Oh,
all right, let's keep it moving. Evan Tengestal, center,
it's my
guard.
dude. Outside of Brady Drogosh, I think he's the best player in the class.
Dog.
You know some people that have coached against him that are very high on him.
I know, yes, a coach that actually coaches D-line, so coaches directly against him. And I don't see, like, if we're looking at like the state of Ohio rankings, so his teammate, Josh Padilla, is going to Ohio State, is the 6th ranked player in the state. And Evan is the 22nd ranked player in the state, and I don't see a huge difference in the two.
Right.
He is 6'4". I mean, we got him at 6'4", 285 on 247.
He's a big kid. I've been around him quite a bit. He's a big kid.
So, I mean, he's an interior guy. Is he a center? Is he a guard? I don't know. But, I would be a little surprised if he's not in the 2 deep real quick. And we'll kind of just see from there.
I think redshirt freshman year, you could be looking at him as your starter at center.
Yeah.
The Ironton duo, Trevor Carter, Ty Perkins, both in the fold. Or actually, let's do Josh Gregory first. That one visited Wisconsin over the weekend.
Had an offer from prime time.
Yes. From what I've heard, he just didn't vibe on the Wisconsin visit. Like didn't blow him away. And that forced his hand to not forced his hand, but like that gave him an easy decision to make that he was staying with the Bearcats. I know it's a guy the previous staff was really high on, so good to keep him in the fold.
Yeah, I mean, offensive tackle for development, 6'7", 270. Obviously going to have to get bigger and stronger, but, I mean, that's your prototypical tackle height and size, and we'll just kind of see where it goes from there. But, I mean, I want portal linemen because I want to be good in 2023.
Right.
But they also need, just
to be good in 2024 and 25.
Linemen in general, because, I'm not going to look at 2022 because that's too soon. But like 2021, Luke Collinsworth, no longer here.
Yep.
Mal Glenn still, undetermined
on the 2 deep, but
his potential. Landon Fickle. Those are your linemen and then James Tunstall was a transfer, so he's done. You don't really have anybody from 2021 that has made a mark yet. 2020, Kobe McAllister, not here. Gavin Gerhardt, so he was your starting center, probably starting guard. John Williams has had a chance, been in and out a little bit, still to be determined there. Jake Renfro leaving. And that's your offensive line recruits in 2020. You go 2019, Jonathan Allen, medically disqualified. Marcelo Mendiola, he transferred out. Savion Herring, never qualified, is now actually a pretty highly recruited guy after going to JUCO. went to Tennessee, and then I think he is leaving there or left there. And James Hudson. So going back to 2019, the offensive line recruiting and development has not exactly been a shining star of the offensive line driven Cincinnati Bearcats football program.
Right. Is Mets coming back? I don't think so, but I haven't heard any final word on what his decision is. Perkins and Carter. Ty Perkins, he might be a starter. You needed an outside receiver in this class, and he adds one.
Absolutely. He had a huge senior year. He's long, he's skinny. He'll need to develop, but we'll see how his true speed is up this level. I mean, Ironton's a power at their level, but I mean, you very rarely see this shit. They had 2 kids going to UC and another kid who was committed to Wisconsin and ended up signing with Wake Forest. You never see that type of Division I players on the level that they're playing at.
Yeah.
So how does that translate up? Trevor Carter had some interest from some other folks, some sharks, if you will, circling, and kudos to him. I mean, he wasn't really even ever able to come make a visit and meet the new coaches personally, and he stuck with it. So, another guy for the linebacker room. So we'll see how that goes.
Surprised to see Luke Evans decommitted. Isn't he a legacy? I always got a weird.
We just never heard anything from him.
Like I think his dad wanted him to come to Cincinnati. I don't know how much. Maybe he wanted to come to Cincinnati. And then Luke, Fickle leaves, and now you've got an out.
Right.
Jamari Johnson, what smoke is there? Nothing yet. That was something that was new to me today. Did you see that, Dave?
I mean, they have been talking to him.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like him not
to a
signing.
point of like him not going to sign, and then them being like,
yeah, that's what I meant.
I mean, and there was no article; it was just a tweet. But is Louisville just out? They weren't even mentioned. It was like he took a visit to Oregon, Pitt, and UC was coming after him hard.
Wasn't he one of the Adidas Flybill kids?
I don't think he is. He's a California guy, but I'm not sure if he's with that group or not.
Okay. Who were the Sharks? Dave's not telling you that, Tonk.
I mean, you can guess one, Tonk.
Yeah. One's not that hard.
I mean, Wake Forest was the other. They offered him. So, I mean, that's like, it's not like anybody was being nefarious.
Kentucky was trying to get Carter and Perkins.
Yeah. Well, who aren't they trying to get?
True. Who do we have left here, Dave? Brian Sims. This is a defense that's going to be built on getting after the quarterback. You got to have edge rushers.
Yep, he comes from a high level program, some of the best competition in the country. So good. When we need, if we're talking D line, O line, receivers are kind of the place that receivers because we've lost a lot, O line and D line because we outside of Maije and we know the issues with the O line. Like there's just not been any reinforcements over the last couple of years at the edge position and in the offensive line.
Yeah, it's tough to be an offensive and defensive line driven program when you can't land offensive and defensive linemen, impact offensive and defensive linemen. No, we do not have an offensive coordinator yet. Dave told me to ask Scott Satterfield when he was going to have his staff in place. So I did, and he said he would like to have everything in place by January 3rd. I do think there is a recruiting department guy from Ohio State that will be coming down. I think I got a wink, wink, nudge, nudge confirmation on that one, Dave. So I think we're good there. His name has been mentioned on the board. can find that at Bearcat Journal.
Could be another Ohio State person coming down as well.
Could be a couple Ohio
Two
State
more?
people coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 more.
And I put this in the staff thread earlier today too. Outside of your like offensive defensive coordinator or the guys that you bring at the very initial jump when you move from one school to the next, a lot of assistants will stick through signing day. Not because they like necessarily want the school they're leaving to do great, but it's just messy.
It's messy.
It's just messy, and it's kind of like you see this in the NFL. Like after the draft, a bunch of people will like leave their personnel positions and go to other places. So it's like once that job is done, like we made it through signing day, we're done. Okay, now I'm gonna move to the next deal. So that could be part of this. It could be guys that are still coaching and just don't want.
That's one of the best autocorrects I've ever seen, by the way.
What was he trying to be?
The new coordinator.
New?
Yeah,
Oh.
just trying to say new.
Okay. I don't know if I believe that UCF superfan that it was autocorrect. I think he did it on purpose.
Oh,
fit.
boy.
That fits.
It's too good. It's too good.
Go
ahead.
Aaron said you still have Galactic in the corner. But yeah, sometimes these could be coaches that are still coaching in a major game. I don't know why if they were coaching in a random bowl game you wouldn't necessarily announce it, but it could also be they just wait till the whole like 2022 classes or 2023 class is kind of wrapped up.
Right.
And then you got Manny Covey.
We are still expecting that one. He is having a ceremony.
He's in.
Okay.
His came in at 2 when his ceremony was.
Oh, okay. I thought his ceremony was at 6.
That is Kamari Burns.
Kamari Burns at 6. Okay.
Yes.
There's a lot going on today.
Yeah, and sometimes that ceremony is kind of
Just
for show, and sometimes it's actually when they sign it, and we don't ever know that. So,
right.
But yeah, Manny Covey, good receiving threat out of the backfield. Like his game a lot. Comes into a room that has some pretty good talent there, and was as a freshman running back, probably not gonna typical redshirt situation, but he's a lot of these guys are early in release, so we're gonna get a chance to check him out.
Yeah, we'll get to see him in spring, which I get the feeling we're going to see a lot of young guys in the spring, Dave.
Yeah, it'll be fun though. I mean, new coaching staff, a lot of new players. Yeah. Be interesting.
Burns has tweeted he is signing with UC at his signing conference. It's just not been made official yet. So
yeah. I think that is everybody that is currently on our board, right?
I think so. Yeah. Is it possible they're waiting on the offensive coordinator to fully attack the portal for receivers? No. I just haven't been – the names are on the board. There were a couple that visited last weekend. You just have to go look for them in the transfer portal thread. They're in there. So, yeah. All right. Well, they're getting the Mercedes-Benz room here ready for the game tonight. So
okay. So they're telling you to leave?
They're not telling me to leave, but unless she's going to bring me over a plate of food, I'm guessing they want me to leave. I shouldn't have food yet, unfortunately. But so I think it's probably a good time to wrap it up. Huge turnout today. Thanks to everybody for showing up.
Yes, thank you. We'll if you're just jumping on, there should be more stuff in the portal. Who knows exactly when? Obviously, we didn't know Emory Jones was going to be signing officially today, so portal things can happen whenever.
Yeah.
But they're clearly going to keep working it very hard. They're clearly, I mean, Coach Satterfield mentioned it. They're clearly expecting to have visitors in 2 weeks from today.
Yep.
So, we'll see what that looks like. See if Chad can get in good with people that can actually tell us who's visiting.
Be nice. Are done with signings today? No, I think there'll be
There'll be some more.
Some more.
One or more signings, possibly.
Yeah, something like that. I'm going to predict 2. It's my prediction.
I'm going to predict 7.
7 tonight? No. I hope not. I got a game to cover. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks to Dave for holding down the fort today. We had some Kelly stuff to take care of this morning.
It's real hard hitting retweet.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, still somebody's got to do it. And, Mick has the Purdue site to run. So
that's right.
Joe's got 37 more.
37. I think that would exceed our 85 limit.
I think we're gonna have to do like 7:15 tomorrow, Dave, because I've got I'm on with Lance and Rocky at 7:05. So look for us about 7:15 tomorrow night for the BCJ podcast.
All right.
We'll put a bow on all of this and get into everything else. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Had a good time. Had a good show. And get out of here before they try to throw me on one of these burners over there. We'll see you tomorrow. Aaron and I will be back with the nightcap tonight. Dave and I will see you tomorrow on the
big one.
podcast.
Big one tonight against Detroit Mercy. Right,
leading scorer in the country, Antoine Davis.
Again, he still is.
Oh yeah, they'll let him fly, baby.
It's going on like 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's averaging 10 3. He's shooting 41% from 3 and squeezing off at least 10 of them a game.
Buddy, he's my kind. Why couldn't we get him in the transfer portal?
They tried, and then
where'd that dude that I liked? Did he end up signing anywhere?
Who?
The basketball player. That you said we talked about how much I liked him because he shoots a lot. The guard or something. He was
Jalen Curry.
Yeah. Did he go anywhere?
No, nobody has taken him yet.
Oh, so we can still get him. Great.
All right. We'll see you. We'll see you shortly. This is whatever the BCJ podcast signing day special.
Signing day extravaganza.
Right here on BearcatJournal.com.